What's going on, guys? It is your boy Junior from PNP Customs coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about this 2026 Toyota Tundra. This vehicle is here at PNP for a radio upgrade. Now you guys might be saying, why on earth is this guy changing the radio on a 2026 vehicle? The reason why is because this radio actually has giant borders. It gives you the illusion that the screen is big when it's off, and when it turns on, it's only about 8 inches. Not only does the owner of this truck wish for a bigger display, but he also wishes for wireless phone connection, like wireless CarPlay or wireless Android Auto, depending on what kind of phone you have. You can see he has this adapter here that converts his wired CarPlay to wireless, but he won't need that anymore thanks to Dasaita coming out with this brand new head unit for the 2022 to 2026 Toyota Tundras. Not only does this unit give you the benefit of having a larger screen, but it gives you so much convenience without losing any features of the original car. Coming in with everything that you need to install this unit: the main harness, the accessory harnesses, the panels. It even comes with a couple of little tools there that you can use if you don't have any. Designed to be plug and play and easy to install, so you don't have to bring your truck to a shop anymore. You can do this yourself. And I'll also be guiding you through the process of how to install this radio if you need a little more help than the user manual that they offer. If you just want to see how the head unit operates and how it looks installed, then you can go ahead and skip towards the end of the video where I showcase all of that extra stuff. Inside of the box, you will also get this new bezel with a new HD backup camera that replaces the original one. Don't be frightened by that. This is very easy to install, and like I said, I'll guide you through every step of the way. Now, this isn't our first time working with Dasaita. As you guys know, we have a partnership going on with them, so we are able to offer you sometimes even better prices than what they have to offer. The way it works is that they give me a really good price. That way I can offer you either at the same price or at a discount than what they have on their website. The link to this product will be below in the description as per usual. That's enough yapping. Let's get to work. We're going to go ahead and remove the original radio. That way we can install the Dasaita head unit. So first off, you have to remove this bezel here. Use a plastic popper prior to, that way you don't damage leather or break any plastic. Once you loosen up half of the bezel, you can now stick your fingers in and pull it out yourself. It's very easy this way. There's no screws involved, just clips. Now the cluster bezel, you don't have to remove. You just have to loosen it up enough. That way the radio can come out. Same idea here. There's no screws. It's just plastic clips. So just pry it off. That way it's loose. Up next is this trim up here above the radio. This is only held in with clips as well, so as long as you pry it properly, it will pop out. And then it has the plug that's connected to the cigarette lighter port. Go ahead and disconnect that. Right after that, you can remove the plastic trim that surrounds the original display of the radio. So you're only aiming to pop out the edges because it's a two-piece. The display itself, the radio, is still not loose to come out yet, so do as I do in the video. Bear with me, guys, we're almost done. Up next, you have to remove the 4 10mm that are above the radio. These specifically, and after that, that's it. You're all done. The original radio can now be removed. I recommend getting some kind of microfiber towel, that way you don't scratch anything when you pull out the radio. Now the radio itself is not going to come out very loosely. You have to tug on it because it's still held on with a couple of clips. After you do that, go ahead and leave it hanging with the microfiber cloth right under, because you do have to remove some harnesses first. All of these harnesses are quite simple. They all have the same idea of there being a latch at the top. You put pressure on that tab and pull outwards and it will come out. So go ahead and copy and paste that same process on all of the plugs. Once you get all of them removed, you can now bring in the harnesses so we can get to plugging them in. So the first bag that we're going to be messing with is going to be the main harness bag. That's the one with the CAN bus in. You'll have a lot of extra plugs in there. We're not going to mess with those yet, so just pull out the main harness. Always make sure that the CAN bus box is already plugged in there. If it's loose, then you can plug it in. That way we can continue on our installation. Super hard to get these plugs wrong just because they're each uniquely shaped. Let's go ahead and get the main power plug done. So the main power plug one, that one's going to plug into the gray male. That's where the unit is going to get its ignition, its power, and its ground source from. Up next, you have the data plug. You're going to go ahead and plug that into the black male. All these plugs should go in nice and snug, and you'll hear a click at the end verifying that it's all the way in. Up next is this black female that comes out of the main harness. That plugs into the black male. This is where the head unit connects to the factory speakers inside. At this point, I felt that my harnesses were very tight, and that was because it was getting tangled up. So untangle it if that's happening to you. Up next, you'll have this single data plug that comes out of the CAN bus. That plugs into the green male. This plug is in charge of decoding the backup camera. And the last plug that comes out of the main harness is this one right here. This is to recuperate your original FM tuner. So go ahead and plug it into the small white male, just like that. And you're all done with the main harness. It's that easy. Let's go on to the next. In the bag, you'll have this 4-pin connector. This is to recuperate the original USB media plug. So you're going to go ahead and plug that into the brown one. We're going to dig into the next bag, which will be the accessory harness bag. The first thing we're going to pull out of the bag is the 4G antenna and the GPS antenna. They're both covered with plastic lining to protect the double-sided tape, and So you can peel those bad boys off and stick them somewhere safe, somewhere sturdy where they won't fall and rattle behind the radio. That's where I put in my GPS. You guys can copy me if you want to. And then the 4G one I stuck behind the air vent channel. For both, I left the wiring quite lengthy, that way it's easier to install behind the radio. Up next, these are considered to be extras, so you don't have to install them, but you can if you want to. It's 2 USB dongles and also the SIM card connector. What we did here is we got an old clothes hanger. We went ahead and taped the wiring to it, pulled it to the driver footwell, that way they're easy to access, but they're out of sight, out of mind. Up next, you'll have the single media USB. That one's going to plug into the original USB adapter that we did with our main harness. So that's a male and female, and then the purple end plugs into the back of the radio. Then you'll have 3 harnesses left. These you can plug into the back of the radio just because they're not really meant to be plugged into the car yet. So you're going to go ahead and plug them into their corresponding spaces. Each one is uniquely shaped, so it's hard to plug in one where it's not supposed to be. A quick tip I tell my customers is to count the pins and see the latch on each plug. That way you know exactly where they're supposed to go. After that, that's it. You're all done with the harnesses. Up next is the hardware. We have to remove the brackets out of the original radio to put into the new unit. That way it's nice and sturdy. This part has got to be the easiest part of the installation, so all you have to do is just remove the brackets. Don't mix them up, so do one at a time. And then the new head unit has those exact same 3 holes, so it's hard to get it wrong. Line it up and then do the exact same thing on the other side. And by the way, don't get confused. Dasaita offers extra screws in the bags that they have the harnesses in. You don't have to use those. It doesn't matter which ones you use, whether it's Daisaitas or the original ones. I use the original ones. It makes no difference. Alright, and after you're done, this is an idea of what it should look like. Make sure you don't get it mixed up. Make sure they're not upside down. That way the radio mounts properly, nice and sturdy. Now the new head unit isn't just only held in with those 10mm. It's also going to be held in with some clips. So you have to remove the original clips of the bezel and the radio and put them onto the new bezel and the new head unit. The way these clips work is that you have to lift up one of the legs. Once you do that, you can pull upwards and they will come loose. Just push them into place and they will click in. Up next, you have to transfer over the air vents. The air vent itself is not held in with any screws. It's only held in with clips. You pry these out while pulling the air vent out, keeping pressure so that way they don't click back into place. And little by little, you loosen all of them up and it will come out. After you remove the air vent, before you put it into the new head unit kit, you have to remove the original trim of it. Specifically talking about the matte gray one. Depending on whether you chose the matte chrome finish or the matte black finish, you have to change over the trim, that way it fits perfectly on the new bezel. This client specifically wanted the matte black finish, so that's the trim that we're going to be replacing it with. Clicks into place as if it was factory. Like I said, everything here is exclusive to this car, so it's super easy to install. After you do that with both sides, you're going to go ahead and put the new air vents in to the new head unit kit. Now it's very important that you line up each one of the males. If you push it in too rough and one of the males are not going in, you might break one of the air vent levelers. So just make sure that it's going in nice and easy. After you do that, you can do yourself a round of applause. You're all done with the head unit. So the harnesses are ready. The radio is ready. There's one final thing, but before we get to that, look at how beautiful this radio is already looking, and it's not even turned on. Up next, and the final piece we have to install, is this new bezel with the new HD backup camera integrated into it. So the original one says Toyota, the new one says Tundra. Don't be afraid about that. You don't have to run a new camera to the back. We're just going to jump the signal just because the original signal doesn't really work too well with the new head unit of Dasaita. Remove the tailgate lid. It's held in with a whole bunch of T30s. Looks like these. Once you remove all of them, the lid itself is going to come loose. You just have to pull outwards. Removing this piece will make it so much more easier to install our harness, and on top of that, we do have to change out the handle trim with the backup camera. You're going to go ahead and loosen up these two 10mm that are holding onto the handle. It's a little bit of a hard space to work in, so I recommend getting some kind of ratchet or a wrench to get it removed. Also, hold on to the handle towards the bottom just because you don't want to loosen up the two 10mm and have it fall to the ground. So here's the old and here's the new. We're going to go ahead and bring it to the table because we have to transfer over the 10mm bracket. It's held in with 4 Phillips screws that you have to remove, and then the new trim has those 4 same screw holes. So go ahead and just line it up as I did before and then screw it into place. Now that that's done, we can now put it back into place, back into the tailgate, lock it into place with the 2 same 10mm. And before you put everything back together and screw the lid back on, you have to unplug the original backup camera. You're going to plug in the last harness that you have in the bag. This is the rear camera adapter. So it goes from female to male, and then you have the yellow RCA and the black power plug. Like I said, we're not running a new backup camera, we're just jumping the signal. Now you can reassemble the tailgate piece just because we're done with the backup camera. Last step is to plug in all of the harnesses behind the radio. First off, we're going to be talking about the camera. You have a male that comes out of the original main harness, and then you'll have a female that comes out of the head unit. You'll have this Wi-Fi antenna also in the back. You just have to screw that into place right here. Make sure to not stop until you feel that it's getting tight. That way it doesn't come out during the installation. Go ahead and plug in your main power plug. It's this one right here. Line it up, push it down, and if it's going in a little tough, then you have to wiggle it left and right and it will click into place. This tuner comes out of the FM adapter that we installed. That goes into the circle right over here at the end. This 4-pin is from the USB media adapter that we installed to recuperate the input. That goes in nice and snug there. Like I said, just count the pin numbers and it's impossible to get it wrong. This is the GPS antenna. This one doesn't screw in, it just clicks in. So push it down and you'll hear a click. This one right here is the 4G antenna. You're going to go ahead and screw that one into place. Remember to keep screwing it in until it gets tight. Up next, we have the SIM card connector plug. You're going to go ahead and plug that in as well if you ran it. Same thing for the 2 USB dongles that we also ran to the driver footwell. Like I said, these were extra, so you don't have to install them, but we did. So we're plugging those in where they're meant to be. And here is a close-up on what it should look like after you're done plugging everything in. Now, before you click the unit in and screw everything in and finish the whole process, you have to troubleshoot and make sure everything is working properly on the radio before you do that. So check that your backup camera is working. It looks a little bit yellow right now just because of the wrapper that's on it, the protective wrapper. You have the steering wheel controls that you want to check out. You also want to check out that the CAN bus is working, like the AC display and factory car functions. After you've made sure that everything works as it should, everything is plugged in properly, you can now do what we did in the beginning of the video in reverse. So exactly how we removed the original radio, you're going to do this in reverse to install the new one. So the trim, the passenger bezel, the cluster, everything has to fit nice and snug. And of course, make sure to screw in those 4 10mm at the top before you do that. And that's it. Congratulations, you installed the new Dasaita head unit on your Toyota Tundra. Super easy to install, no need to bring it to a shop. Let's go ahead and head to the best part of the video, which would be the showcase. And voila, ladies and gentlemen, look how easy it was to install, and man, it paid off. Dasaita really did it best here, man. A big screen that's OEM style that gives you the illusion that this is how the vehicle came from the factory. And this ain't the cheap Amazon $200 stuff. This is high quality product. You can see it's smooth to the touch, very responsive. It doesn't buffer or lag at all. You guys know I'm more of a guy who shows you the work rather than tell you. So I'd rather show you how good the product is rather than just tell you based off of like specs. What you guys are seeing here is the new radio FM station. And as I mentioned, you get all of these new features, but you don't lose any of the old ones. So steering wheel controls, that would be a huge deal breaker if you lost that. We can also put the vehicle in ignition. That way we can put the vehicle in reverse and look at the new HD backup camera. Better saturation and coloring than the original one did. So look at that. It's hard to miss something or hit something behind you when you have such a big screen displaying the rear camera. On top of that, you'll also get a new AC display when you're messing with the climate control. So if you're touching the modes, the temperature, it'll show you that stuff on the screen as well. That way, if you have trouble seeing the little display at the bottom, you can see it better with the bigger display on the actual radio. Everything on one screen. So this model right here is the 14-inch QLED display. It comes with 8 plus 256, and I think it's Android version 13, making it the most optimized radio that has yet to come out. You can see that it also has a day and night mode. You can also turn one off and on permanently if you want that. My personal opinion is that the dark theme always is better than the light theme any day of the week. Now remember, this is an Android radio, so it can do anything that your phone can do. I'm talking Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video, Hulu. You can download offline maps. You can do a lot of stuff here. Anything that your phone can do, this radio can do. And the famous question I always get is, if I start driving, will the video stop playing? No, it does not have a parking brake wire sensor, so that'll keep playing. Just definitely be safe. You're not supposed to be watching movies while driving, of course. One thing I always tell my clients is that you bought a very fast unit, so it doesn't make sense to give it poor Wi-Fi. So if you're going to get a SIM card for this unit, make sure to not go for the cheapest option. That way it doesn't buffer or lag. Now some of you guys are asking, hey Junior, I had some factory car settings in my original radio. Do those get retained? Yes, you don't lose anything. That's what this radio's purpose is to be exclusively made for the Tundra. That way, if you have car settings inside of your radio, none of that stuff gets touched. Now don't forget, the client needed to have a wireless phone connecting adapter. That way he can use his wireless CarPlay. He doesn't need that anymore. He can throw that in the trash. The radio pairs to his phone through Bluetooth and automatically displays CarPlay. So you can see that this is a feature that the old radio didn't have. It's a lot more convenient to be able to just get inside the car, turn it on, and automatically display your maps, messages, stuff like that. That way you don't have to connect through USB. You can still do that, by the way, to charge your phone or wired phone connection, but you don't have to. That's the whole point. And it doesn't matter what kind of phone you have, whether you have an Android or an Apple, both work perfectly fine. If you have an Android like a Google Pixel, LG, Samsung, then you'll be using wireless Android Auto, which is what I'm displaying. And if you have an Apple like an iPhone, then you would have to use the wireless CarPlay, the one I displayed before. So it works perfectly fine with whatever you have, super responsive, you have your maps, you have all that good stuff there. The radio itself has an integrated microphone, built-in mic, so you can use that when you're talking to people. That way you don't have to run an external one. Something this unit provides that the old radio didn't is an integrated crossover and equalizer, so it throws out your subwoofer, your rears, and your fronts. So if you want to add an aftermarket sound system, you can definitely do that. And it gives you more range to work with your factory speakers as well, in terms of how you like your highs, your lows, your bass. You already have a Play Store integrated into the system, so you can download more apps if you want more than what you already have pre-downloaded. But that's a quick showcase of this radio. You saw how it works, you saw how easy it is to install. Definitely a must-have if you have this truck. This is a type of upgrade that even if your radio is working perfectly fine, it's always nice to have something that's way better. So like I said, you don't lose any function. It gives you a lot more convenience than what the original one had. And of course, you get a bigger screen that's OEM style. As I mentioned in the beginning, the link will be in the description for this product. Read more about it. If you have any questions, hit us up here at PNP.